You're listening to an archived CabralConcept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the CabralConcept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Friday review. It's great to have you with me here today. Love ending the week with our podcast that goes through everything that's gone on over the past week in the private practice. Now it's basically virtual all over the world. Love bringing you some research, a book review, a product review, and I go over what your lab testing results mean. So whether you're working with a local practitioner, your MD, PCP, just doing your annual blood work, we're going over those markers so that you best understand what those numbers mean so that you can take control of your own health. So love doing these Friday reviews, always a lot of fun for me because I'm always experimenting as well with new products, new gadgets, and always doing my research each and every day. So what I want to go through first, before we get to the great research that I have for you, on why an apple a day is such a great recommendation, going over what the sodium numbers mean on your lab work, and so much more. What I'd like to do, one of my favorite product reviews, to make your own dairy-free ice cream at home and gluten-free. Not a lot of people know this, but a lot of ice cream actually has gluten in it, and it uses that as a thickener. So this is a great tool to use for that. What I want to go over first, though, just some things that we have going on that I think you may be interested in. So really excited. We have so many people excited to start their 2019 off right. And that means looking to potentially become a health coach. Or if you're a health coach or dietitian or personal trainer, you're a nurse, you're a doctor that does not practice an integrative form of medicine, or you're just looking to essentially heal yourself or family, what we offer is the Integrative Health Practitioner course and certification. And you can find out all those details at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. We open up this Monday, February 4th. Now, we only open for 100 openings. Typically, it's open for a day, 2 days, maybe 3 days maximum. And then we sell all of those 100 openings. And at that point, we close and we make sure that we take care of our 100 new members. We are not an organization that's looking to bring in 1,000 new people at a time. What we're looking to do is really train the next generation of health coaches out there and health practitioners. That's our goal. And you graduate with an integrative health practitioner certification, and we have a level 1 and a level 2. Level 1 takes you in depth on my de-stress protocol that I use every day in my practice for now over 250,000 people. Level 2 is actually going through the lab testing. So you learn how to do functional medicine lab testing at home with people all around the world, just like we do. So you can check that out for details at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And we have an amazing special giveaway for those that are joining in February with the level 2. But again, whatever level works for you is absolutely fantastic. And we have such a great community. It's a private group that we have where we chat every day in the group. It might be fun for you as well. Plus, we do live Q&A days every 4 to 6 weeks with myself, where I get inside the group and we do a live talk, and it's pretty phenomenal. So it's a lot of fun, great group of people. So that's going on. And also, over the next couple days, we have our activated B vitamin giveaway. So this is an activated B complex, all of the methylated versions of the B vitamins. So it's great for people that are low in energy, that are lower in mood, that the weakened immunity, weakened detox, and they're looking to boost all of those functions. They want to boost energy. They want to buffer stress to a greater degree. This is a great time of the year to be using that. While we need those stress buffering and immune system help, as well as converting over those carbs to energy and boosting our energy overall. So we're giving away, I believe it's either $29.95 bottle or $39.95 bottle. We're giving it away free on all orders over $99 while supplies last. So we ran out of our probiotic and we had to shut down that. The same exact thing. I love being able to give these products to people. And the reason is this. I know people are already making investment in their health. What I want to do, if and when possible, is being able to give you other great products that I know that you're going to see results from. You take the Activated B Complex, simply one capsule at lunch. Use your daily nutritional support powder in the morning because that's a full B vitamin, okay? Then you use one additional capsule at lunch, and you are absolutely going to be getting all of the benefits of decreasing low mood, decreasing issues with poor energy production, and poor detox because your B vitamins are needed for that as well, and inflammation. So we boost those up, we get that body firing on all cylinders, and you will definitely feel the difference. So check that out at equilibriumnutrition.com while supplies last, depending on when you listen to this show. So I want to share with you two interviews I did. I've been linking these up on our Friday Review podcast pages. Today, you can find those interviews at stephencabral.com/1092. So stephencabral.com/1092. I will put up the two new interviews I was just on. I was on Christina Rice's podcast. We had a great time chatting on that show. Christina is a Reiki practitioner. She is a nutritional therapy practitioner and knows quite a bit about health coaching and nutrition. We had a great conversation, a lot of fun being on her show, and it's called the Wellness Realness Podcast. So check that out. Head on over to stephencabral.com/1092. I'll be putting a lot of links there today in the show notes, and I'm also going to embed the great interview that Christina was gracious enough to have me on as a guest. So check that out. And the other one this week just came out yesterday, so I don't even have a title to it yet. Let's see here if I can find it right now. I actually have it right here. So this one is with Meredith Wadsworth, and Meredith's is going to be, actually this one's the one that came out previously. Stop asking for permission to take control of your health with Dr. Stephen Cabral. So that is with Meredith Wadsworth. Meredith is a health coach as well. In-depth knowledge in many different areas and absolutely with nutrition as well. And she is in our Integrative Health Practitioner program, continuing to further her education and knowledge as well. Thank you, Meredith, for having me on. This is episode 7 of the High Life podcast, and it's Honor Yourself Every Day, which is what HYE High stands for. So I think that's fantastic. Really great podcast, and look for obviously more great things to come from Meredith as well. I will embed that show, and that is Stop Asking Yourself for Permission is with Meredith Wadsworth on the High Life, and then Christina's is the Wellness Realness podcast. I want to get all of this down pat. All right. So really great. Enjoyed being on both of those shows, and I think that you'll like those interviews as well. Each one about an hour long. Okay. So let's move on to our next topic, and our next, which this week is going to be my product review. This has been a lot of fun. I'm someone that just loves gadgets. I love technology, and I love how we can get people more interested into health and wellness. Now, with that, also includes kids and big kids that we call adults. So one thing that's easier to get a lot of your nutrition in there, whether it be some veggie powder mixed in with some fruit, make it like a smoothie or smoothie bowl, is a product that I just experimented with because, I've been making my kids, we call it nice cream, right? We didn't come up with that, but it's dairy-free ice cream. And what is it? Well, it's really fruit sorbet. And so during the summertime, we make our girls popsicles. And when I say we, meaning my wife, makes our girls some great recipes. We do them all the time. We'll make it with some coconut milk and we'll mix some fruit in there. Sometimes my wife will get creative and slice like kiwi slices, and you'll see that in the popsicle. You can find these things on Instagram. They're absolutely beautiful. They're really fantastic. And everyone we have over, typically in Maine, loves them. All the kids love them. And you can see how eating healthy popsicles and can actually be good for you and great for kids, especially when they're expending so much energy. So we also make smoothie bowls, and we made them forever in our Vitamix, and we've made them in our Blendtex, and we made them in all of those things. We made them in food processors back in the day. We've been doing this for quite some time. Here's a really great gadget, though, that you can use with your kids. You can get them involved with it, and there's no danger of them hurting themselves or anything like that. And it's a product, a very inexpensive product, I'll tell you that. I mean, this is like 1/10 of the price of a Vitamix or my juicer, which is the Omega Vert, right? So this works like a single auger. It's called Yonanas. If you've never heard of the brand, it's Yonanas. Yonanas is kind of a play on bananas, at least I think, right? Yonanas makes your frozen sorbet. It's absolutely fantastic, and here's why it's great. You use it just like a juicer. So I use it just like my Omega Vert. I'm going to link up the Omega Vert today as well. It's what I use as our juicer. But I'll tell you, there's a lot more cleanup to that. You have to buy all your veggies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fine, okay? No big deal. But this, with the Yonanas, you actually just use frozen fruit. So you can buy it, you can store it, you can use it whenever you'd like. So as a very healthy mid-afternoon snack, you can make your kids some fruit sorbet rather than crackers or chips or cookies or anything like that. You can actually get them involved and make their own fruit sorbet. But you can call it ice cream. We call it ice cream for my girls. And I know that a lot of people think this is insane, but my girls have never had regular ice cream because we don't do cow's milk dairy in my family. It's a non-negotiable. That's just the way that it is. They're not going to have that. It is what it is. People can make comments. They can say this, they can say that. And I say, it's all good. You can have your own opinion. We can still be friends. It's all good. You can feed your kid ice cream. I'm not judging you. No problem at all. We just don't give it to our girls because I've seen what it does. It's the number one IgG food sensitivity. It's the number one thing that increases IGF, which is not a huge thing in kids, of course. It's the number one thing that causes mucus in children, skin rashes, all of these things. So we just don't do it. We just don't do it. No big deal, okay? Again, we can all be friends. We just don't do it. What we'll do, though, is we can use and have always used items like the Yonanas. And the Yonanas is great. It's $39.99. That's it. It's not expensive. And if it gets your kids to eat more fruit, and I'll teach you about veggies in just a second, fantastic. Okay, how do you use it? I messed up because I'm not a big direction reader in the beginning. I should be, but I'm not in the beginning. So I like to just get into it. Well, the best way to do it, I'm going to give you best practices. You have frozen bananas. What do? We get bananas and we wait till they ripen. When is a banana ripe? When it starts to get those little brown spots, the cheetah spots. Once it gets those, you slice up the banana into pieces, like 4 pieces or so per banana, and then you put it in your freezer. Okay? You just freeze them overnight. Easy. So we do that with a big batch. We always have 6 bananas that we're freezing. And what we do then is you put in a half a frozen banana into the top of the Yonanas, and I'll link up an image for today, and I'll link up the website for Yonanas. And what you're going to do is just it's a fun word to say, so I'm going to keep saying it. And you put in the banana frozen first, and then you add in whatever other fruit that you would like, and it's going to start to mix. So one of my daughters loves cherries. So we put in frozen cherries, mixed with banana, mixed with some frozen coconut ice cubes. How do you make frozen coconut ice cubes? You can use coconut milk or coconut cream, whatever you would like. The cream isn't easy to freeze, but you can just use coconut milk, even easier, just like you put in a smoothie. And you put that in an ice cube tray. Then we just take out 1 coconut cube, throw in some cherries, put it in another banana, then throw in some more cherries and coconut, another coconut cube. Out comes, you end with a banana as well, a beautiful bowl of bright pink or red cherry ice cream. And again, coconut and banana add the texture and consistency, and it's absolutely fantastic. Another one of my daughters likes what I do, which is more of like the tropical kind. So we mix in banana, mango, pineapple, and it's fantastic. Banana, mango, pineapple, delicious. And you put in a little bit of the coconut ice cubes as well, and it tastes like a pina colada. Like it's absolutely fantastic, okay? No alcohol, no real sugar except from the fruit. It's great. So that's what we do. It's great. I mean, they have a recipe book that comes with it. You can make tiramisu with it. You can make, because it comes out like ice cream. So you can mix coconut with espresso. You can make whatever you'd like. I mean, just comes out again, frozen. You can use an ice cube tray. And it's also how, if you want to get some veggies in with your kids or the daily nutritional support powder for their vitamins and minerals, all you would do is you could blend that with some coconut milk, whether it's the daily fruit and vegetable blend powder or it's the daily nutritional support powder, blend it up with some coconut milk, and then pour it into an ice cube tray. And then you can just have that in divided doses, and you can mix it and make your own smoothie bowls if you want like that. And your kids won't even know because they get to put in the ingredients, right? So it's really easy to do. And my goal is this, let's make eating healthy fun. And this is a super fun way to do it. And fruit and vegetables for your kids, I mean, that's just the way to go. It's going to help with appetite. They're going to enjoy doing it. And what kind of kid doesn't like ice cream, right? And adults, right? So when I'm making it for my girls, you better believe that I'm having some as well. So check that out. I'll link it up today. Great product. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to continue to use it. It's not a one-time purchase, and then we're not going to use it after that. This is something that we'll continue to use, and for sure, we'll be bringing this up to Maine during the summer and using this in the warm weather even more. Okay, what's up next? Apple research. I know it's strange, right? Why am I going over Apple research? But here's why. Someone asked me in a house call, they've been eating apples and they've been feeling really good. What is it? Like, what's this about apples? And here's the funny thing. I've been doing the same thing. It wasn't planned. I went apple picking with my family September or so. I wasn't eating apples over the summer. Over the summer, I'm doing my smoothie. I'm having a ton of wild blueberries because I go to Maine for a lot of the summer. And that's where a lot of wild blueberries are. Like, Maine is the place for wild blueberries. There's nothing better than Maine wild blueberries. And if you're into eating lobster, Maine lobster, those are the two best things in the world. Like, there's not a better place in the world for those two items. There's no doubt about it. So if you're into that, well, Maine's the freshest, right? Because it's right there. We pick it. You can get it. So, and then I'm doing, when I do smoothies too, an afternoon smoothie that I love to do in the summer is my papaya, mango, pineapple, banana, coconut milk, mix in some of my daily nutritional support, mix in some of my daily fruit and vegetable blend if I want. And it's incredible. Like, it's fantastic. And a lot of people don't know this. We have a new flavor of the daily fruit and vegetable support coming out in about a month or two. Check that out. It'll be coming out soon. Just stay tuned with email and in the Facebook group. And it's crisp apple. It really is delicious. And if you don't mind stevia, because that's how it's flavored, so there's no sugar, it's fantastic. So anyway, we'll save that for another day. But since apple picking season, I've been having an apple every single day. Every single day. So what I've been doing is adding it to my morning routine. So I do my smoothie. I'm just doing a little less fruit in the smoothie. I do my oatmeal, okay, and I'm doing sliced apple with it. And what I wanted to do is not always have an afternoon snack if I needed to. Like, I can do that for sure. And sometimes I'll have a pear, or sometimes I'll have just my daily fruit vegetable blend, and I'll do the crisp apple because I get it before everybody else. And I'll bring that to the gym. So, there's lots of things that I do, but I don't always have a mid-afternoon snack because I just try to keep it to 3 meals a day. If you're wondering why 3 meals a day, I did a podcast on that. So check it out at stevencabral.com/podcast and just type in 3 meals and you'll find that podcast. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, I found them delicious, but apples, for me, help with satiation. So that was a big reason I was doing it. There are many more, and I'm going to share them with you now. But when I ate that with my oatmeal, and I actually do my smoothie afterwards, believe it or not, it helps me stay satiated to have my oatmeal first and my apple. I could sip on the smoothie for another hour or so, just as hydration, and you almost feel like I didn't even need it, but I need the daily nutritional support, and I need all the other good stuff in it, so that's why I do it. I just did a little less fruit because I was having my apple, so that counted as 1 serving of fruit. So for me, I wasn't even hungry. I used to start getting hungry around 11, and I would eat at 11:30. Now I'm satiated. I'm good until 12. So that apple, when I was looking up, I'm like, hey, is this something that's happening with a lot of other people? And the consensus is yes. Here's what I want to give you. I want to give you the breakdown. So there's always the saying of an apple a day keeps the doctor a day. Well, here's why maybe. We're only looking at about 25 carbs, 4 of those being fiber. So if you're a big net carb person, you're down to 21. Interesting, right? But that skin is helping slow the digestion. So it slows the glycemic load. Plus, I'm having mine with oatmeal, which is loaded with fiber, and it has protein in the oatmeal. And then I'm doing it with my smoothie. So there's no big spike in blood sugar at all. And again, don't let people tell you that it spikes your blood sugar. Test yourself. Do your own blood sugar a half hour after your meal. Use a $20 glucometer. You can check out my previous podcast on that. But here's another thing. I looked at apples and weight loss, and there's actually some decent research. One of the reasons is the fiber. But they did a head-to-head on apples versus oatmeal cookies. I know it's oatmeal cookies. I know. I understand. Same amount of fiber. But what happened was, and similar calories, because we're looking at under 100 calories per apple. The people that ate the apple versus the oatmeal cookie, again, I know it's a cookie, they lost about 2 pounds more within 2 months. Again, is it huge? No, but it was only one change. It was only one variable. But here's the issue, is that they were satiated longer. They actually weren't hungry. The cookie would make them still be hungry. The apple, they were satiated. I love seeing that, okay? One of the things is that apples contain quite a bit of soluble fiber. Well, what else do we know soluble fiber is good for? Well, it's good for heart disease. It's good for cholesterol. It's good for inflammation in the arteries. It's good for blood pressure, and it's good for constipation, keeping those bowels moving. So a big fan of those people where it's been shown to help with LDL cholesterol, oxidized cholesterol, blood pressure. Without a doubt, add that apple in there, right? Even if you want it as a mid-afternoon snack, if you get hungry, you could just do that if you wanted to. Or you could do some almonds after your apple as well, or some walnuts, and those are great for your inflammation, heart-based disease, and your blood pressure, especially if there is some hereditary risk of that. All right, now, interesting. Well, we say, apples have carbs, it's going to make us gain weight. Not true. Apples have carbs, we're going to get diabetes. No, it's just those things are just not true. You get the blood sugar issues for the most part. Now, you can get it afterwards. Your body's already become imbalanced by eating fruit, but no. In the beginning, we get it through processed carbs. Apples are not a processed carb, right? They're not straight sugar. That's not how this works. This is not processed. And this is not high fructose corn syrup. So what we're looking at right now is that those who ate an apple a day had a 20% lower risk of type 2 diabetes with those eating no apples at all. Now, could it be because those people are into a healthy lifestyle as well? Maybe, but that's what we're talking about, right? Like that's what we're talking about is getting into a healthier lifestyle. So really interesting. They're also saying that there's some potential that apples and the polyphenols, which is the plant-based antioxidants as well, may be helping to prevent damage in the pancreas, which could lead to diabetes as well. So big fan of that. There's also some good prebiotics in apples, which is why they're not on the first 4 weeks or 6 weeks of our Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, but there's prebiotics that will help feed the good bacteria. So we add in apples after 6 weeks on our Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. There's some decent research showing that there's a lower risk of cancer rate from people that eat apples and fruit in general, as I've talked about before, because of the antioxidants and polyphenols in that. It's an anti-inflammatory, which has been shown to help with asthma and allergies by as much as a 10% reduction. Pretty phenomenal. 10% is clinically significant for sure by only eating apples. Good for overall bone health, less loss of calcium, and for brain health, overall brain health. Well, why is that important? Well, it's because we have Alzheimer's, we have dementia, and I'll even add Parkinson's in that on the rise. So huge fan of adding these healthy produce-based foods in there. Why an apple? An apple is easy to travel with. An apple is something that is going to provide you with a lot of benefit for even things that we even spoke about, for vision, for overall antioxidant-based capacity. So big fan, and again, you can go with lower glycemic, less sweet-based apples. Gala apples, Glala is phenomenal. You can go with a green-based apple, whether it's a Granny Smith or one of those would be fine. But here's the big thing. If you're going to eat apples, try to get no pesticide. If you get the conventional, it's hard because it does get into that skin, and you don't want to just peel off the skin because that's what helps to blunt the glycemic index. So what we want to do is at least soak them in a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water, or take a scrub brush and just scrub that wax off. If it comes waxed, that's terrible for you, or if there's pesticides on there. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful today, and it's one of the reasons why I'm going to keep my apple a day going until it gets to the summertime, and then I'm going to switch over to my fun summertime foods, which are even more of the berries and more of the things in season at that time, and more of my exotic fruits because I'm sweating a lot more. I'm active outside. And then during the fall, I'll get right back into my apple regime. That keeps it fun for me as well. And I'm happy to answer more questions on this as well. Best place to do that, head on over to Instagram. Just look for my name, look for today's post, and I'm happy to always comment back. So here's my lab test of the day, and that is high sodium on blood work and high sodium on another test that we run instead. Okay, so what we want to do is look at sodium specifically on a blood test first, as well as on a hair tissue mineral analysis. So I want to explain the difference. On your annual blood work that you typically would do once a year with your PCP, with your MD, is look at your electrolyte markers. They don't even run them all sometimes, but they typically will always run your calcium, your magnesium, hopefully potassium, and then looking at sodium as well. Now, the interesting thing, and that I alluded to just a couple of shows ago about blood work, is that it's always almost always going to be normal until you move into what's called a disease state. And when you move into that state, that is when absolutely you can be reversed, but it's going to be more of a challenge because it's been going on in the making for most likely months, even more likely than that, years. But when we look at sodium high, this is a number, again, that's almost never going to be elevated on a blood-based test. And here's the reason why. If it's elevated on a blood-based test, it's a serious issue. And typically your kidneys are going to be able to help regulate that. But when we see it elevated on a blood-based test, a doctor should always be thinking this is some type of massive dehydration, or maybe the person's on too many diuretics. Maybe it's an herbal-based diuretic. Maybe it's a pharmaceutical-based diuretic. Or maybe they have a parasite and they're having loose stool and they're not talking about it because maybe they're embarrassed to say they're having 5, 6, or more loose stool diarrhea per day, which I work with people that have 10 or more per day. Or, again, like someone with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, this could happen. And so you do want to take a look at that. And then the other thing, there are some more serious issues such as kidney dysfunction because your kidneys should be helping to regulate that potassium and sodium. And so we look at that, simple dehydration is a possibility, not drinking enough. We see that a lot in older people, 70s, 80s, they're just not consuming a lot of water. They don't want to have to go to the bathroom that much. They don't, they're not that thirsty. And obviously it's a problem. But I'll tell you right now, hyper too high with sodium it's an irregularity. You're not going to see it that often. So what do we look at? Like, how do we really look at the electrolyte levels if we know that the blood for the most part is going to look great? Well, our job then is to look at different facets of the body. And if we look at what's called a hair tissue mineral analysis, we can begin to understand, just like I believe I explained last Friday. Let me see if I can get that podcast for you. I believe I did the higher calcium magnesium ratio. That was on episode 1085. And then 2 days ago in episode 1090, I took you through a case study. And the case study was actually on a full hair tissue mineral analysis. So I invite you to check out that show if you are kind of new to the functional medicine testing world and hair tissue mineral analysis. And even a lot of naturopathic doctors, they are not used to doing hair tissue mineral analysis. They're more used to doing still hormone-based testing, some gut-based testing, maybe breath tests for SIBO. All of those are great. Like, they're all great. But then we can't draw a line and be like, that test isn't that good. They're all great, but you have to study them. You have to really get that knowledge base to know why they're so great and why it's one more tool for you to use. Because even in your blood work, that's a snapshot in time. You show me someone's cholesterol first thing in the morning or between 8 and 10 when it should be drawn, and then show me someone else's blood work cholesterol after they've had a pastrami sandwich about 2 hours later, 3 hours later, guaranteeing that a cholesterol's quite high. Feel free to put it to the test. You can do that. Same with thyroid. Take your thyroid first thing in the morning, take it at night. It's going to be different, right? So that's why blood work, all of these parameters matter, and your functional medicine doctor will be able to help you with that. So here's the thing about sodium. Elevated sodium on a hair tissue mineral analysis will show up. And when will it show up the most? It will show up the most when you are producing higher levels of a hormone called aldosterone or aldosterone. Now, we don't hear about it as often. We don't hear about it nearly as much as cortisol or adrenaline or norepinephrine, but we certainly know its role in the body. We know that it can increase blood pressure. We know that it can increase fight or flight, vasoconstriction, really squeezing the body, putting it under a lot of tension. And we know that at least initially, with the HPA axis dysfunction, with a heightened state, we call it the alarm state of the adrenal stage, is that they're going to be producing a lot of aldosterone. And when they do that, when people do that, you're going to feel oftentimes invincible. You feel great. You're just you don't even feel like you need to sleep. You do, but you feel like you don't need to. And that will show up as high on a hair tissue mineral analysis many months or years, if ever, that it shows up on blood work or even a saliva test or eventual blood work for Addison's disease or Cushing's disease. So high aldosterone would show up with Cushing's disease oftentimes when you're looking at cortisol, if you even test it, but a lot of doctors don't test for aldosterone. Again, a simple hair tissue mineral analysis will show you that elevated number. So why is this important? Well, what it shows you, the body is in a heightened state of stress. That's the most important factor with this. That really does matter. But what it also means is this. I'm not going to go over the sodium potassium ratio today because I want to do that in the future. I like to teach every Friday on a new lab number. So I'm going to save that one. Maybe I'll do it next week. We'll see. But what it always means typically, the calcium, magnesium, I've already explained that last week on 1085 was the show. So I can give you all of that and you can check out that show again for updates. But that has to do with your body's stress. You're under stress. Okay, what's the stress like? And then sodium is going to show you a response to stress. A response to stress is norepinephrine. A response to stress is aldosterone. A response to stress is cortisol. Those are good response-based methods, okay? Those are higher methods. Eventually, they fall under stress. Think about it. Thyroid falls after you've been chronically stressed for a while. So these are all different parameters of testing for fight or flight or stress. So then your job as an integrative health practitioner, as a functional medicine doctor, naturopathic doctor, bioregulatory doctor, anybody who practices natural health, you could just simply be a person who knows a lot about natural health. That's great too. I'm not here to play games of whatever type of certification, a piece of paper you need. If you know your stuff, you know your stuff. That's the bottom line. And I've come across some people, I'm like, how do you know what you know? I'm like, because you know your stuff. I can tell. I'm having a conversation with you and I can already see where your mind's going. And like you are on track. I have a lot of wellness clients like that. I work with a lot of wellness clients that are quite educated. And I work with a lot of doctors and acupuncturists and chiropractors and health coaches and nutritionists, dietitians, et cetera in my practice. So, they've done this work. They love it. It's their passion. And, they know that they're helping to heal themselves and eventually help even more people. So, the same can be true though. When we have low sodium levels, we can be overhydrated, right? That's a possibility. I really want to get into sodium potassium, but I'm going to save that because I'm already over my time with you for today, and I want to respect your time. I really do. I don't want to make these very long shows. I want you to be able to tune in daily because no one show, it's like no one article and no one book, even the rain barrel effect is the end all be all of everything. It's the accumulation of knowledge, right? So what I'd love you to do is go back and keep accumulating knowledge, whether it's with the CabralConcept, the previous, let's see, I want you to go to 1092 for today's show. All of the links will be there for the hair tissue mineral analysis, for activated B complex, for whatever I've mentioned on today's show. Our team will link all of those up. And, keep accumulating knowledge. Go back, listen to the previous shows, listen to other podcasts that you enjoy, and keep going. Keep accumulating your knowledge. Why? Because you have a lifetime to do this. And the more knowledge you get, the more things start to make sense, right? It's multifactorial. So hopefully this was helpful. And I forgot to mention, but the low on a hair tissue mineral analysis would be then a weakened state. This person's moving to more of a catabolic state, more cellular breakdown, more oxidation, which we certainly do not want in the body, and more of that resistance to adrenal-based fatigue state. And again, we can calculate this with all other metrics as well with cortisol and other hormones in the body. But a hair tissue mineral analysis makes up one of the two labs we use in our starter kit. And we call it the starter kit because if you're confused as to where to start, it is the absolute best place. I'm not going to go on about those today. If you want more information, just head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com, type in starter kit, and you will be in the know. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in this week. I hope it's been helpful. Always open your feedback and be sure to tune in tomorrow for our host calls that we do every single weekend, answering our community's questions from people that have written in over the past couple months. Take care. Have a great weekend. I will talk with you soon. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.